Hi everybody, it's Julie. I'm going to do a quick little video about the Kimberbear from Kimberbell. This is a nice project that Kimberbell has given the design for free. They ask that you donate some to, law enforcement, local hospitals. They're for to comfort young children. You could also donate to nursing homes for, the elderly. First thing you want to do is you want to go to the kimberbelldesign.com site and click Kimberbear, and you're going to download the free designs. It has the instructions and a PDF of labels for all different parts. I apologize that everything is backwards. I don't know how to flip it around. That might be in a future video. I can figure that out. So once you download your design, you want to get your design on your machine and print out your labels. And I'm just cutting them apart right now so I can label my different parts. And then print out your instructions. First part that you're going to load into the machine is the arms. That's our first stitch out. You're going to hoop, use your 5x7 hoop or that thereabouts, and you're going to hoop no-show mesh in your 5x7 hoop. Go ahead and slide that into your machine. Pull your design up. Now this is going to stitch out a placement stitch, and right now I have the machine threaded with white thread, but I'm pretty sure I can see it, so I'm just going to go ahead and tell it to go. Put it in embroidery, and we're going to go. Okay, so we're just going to stitch the placement lines. You want to have your polyfill ready. You want to get your Kimberbell tape out. And again, these are the arms. I'm using this beautiful Minky, and we have some beautiful, beautiful Minkies at the store. If you guys want to, call up and place your order. I think it takes about a half a yard or less for each one, quarter of a yard for each bear. So I'm going to place one of these pieces of Minky right side up, completely covering my placement stitches. And then I'm going to place the second one right side down. And I'm going to tape them so they don't slip. Because one thing we know about Minky, it's slippery. Very, very slippery. All right, get this going. All right, then I'm going to, I've got white thread in, so I think that's fine. We're going to leave it just like that, and I'm going to stitch my machine step number 2, which is the tack down. Now once this is all stitched out, excuse me, I'm going to trim the arms about a 1/2 inch away from the stitch line using my wonderful Kai scissors. All right, so it seems to be done. And I'm going to remove the hoop from the machine, remove the project from the hoop. This project's done in 5 hoopings, and then there is some hand sewing to it. So I'm going to go ahead and trim, like I said, about a 1/2 inch away from the stitch line. And then once I get it trimmed, I'm going to turn them right side out on this wonderful Solaris. And I'm going to use this tool right here. And I'll tell you the name of it when I find the wrapping for it. It's kind of a fun tool. And you put that on there like that. Oh, it's minky. And you know what minky's like. So you have to be persistent. Pull it. Oops. Okay, so that one's turned. Let me get the other one. Oh, I'm going to have to get the vacuum going in here pretty soon. Do the other one. You just slide, you slide your object, whatever it is that you want to turn, in there, like that. You close it, and then you just slide it back onto here. Oh my gosh, so much minky. All right, open it back up. Like I said, I'll tell you all the name of that tool when I find the packaging for it. Then I want to take my polyfill, just regular polyfill, and I'm sorry that you can't see me. It's that my setup here is not the best, and I'm going to use my little turning tool to stuff the polyfill in. I'll start it with my fingers. And this is from OESD. It's the new turning tool that we're carrying now. It has a large ball on one end, and on the other end it has a smaller ball. So you get, it's like 2 tools in one, which is always nice. And you want to get that stuffed in there. On most stuffed animals, you want them really stuffed full. This is not the case on these bears. You want the stuffing to be on the arms, pushed down toward the paws. So you want to push it down so the rest of it is kind of floppy, but the paw is nice and full. I'm going to go ahead and repeat that for the next project, or for the next paw or arm. Then when you get them both paws stuffed, you'll want to take your handy dandy little label that says arms. I'm just going to take a little clip, and I'm going to clip this right here. So now I know those are my arms. Now I'm going to go over to my hooping station, and I'm going to again hoop no-show mesh alone. Let me pull up the next design. Which is on my USB stick. I'm sorry if I'm blocking your view. The next thing that's going to be stitched are the legs, which are right here. I'm going to set it, put it in embroidery, and I'm going to do the same thing with this. Hoop stabilizer only. Slide it into your machine. Go ahead and stitch the placement stitches. Oh, the turning tool I'm using, it's called the multi-purpose point former and tube turner. And if you want to call the store, Lisa can order these. Once it's done stitching, we're going to do the same thing we did with the arms. We're going to put the minky, love this minky, right side up, completely covering the placement marks. And then I'm going to put the second piece of minky right side down, completely covering the first piece of fabric. I'm going to tape it in place because it's slippery. And let's see if I can get this taped over here. Alrighty, there we go. And I'm going to go ahead and stitch it. And we're done. I'll say okay, return, delete this off of here because we're done with the legs. Now I'm going to take this out and I'm going to trim it just like I did with the arms. I'm going to pop this out of the hoop. Set my hoop over on my hooping station and I will be right back. I'm going to go ahead and use my wonderful Kai scissors again and trim, again leaving about a 1/2 inch all the way around. Then I'm going to take my tube turner again. Slide that in there. Oops, slide that in there. Sorry. Close it up. And voila. Makes life very easy. I'm going to repeat for the second side, or the second leg. And there it is. I'm going to use my turning tool to just push out the legs, or the paws. There we go. Same thing, repeat on the other one. Again, my turning tool. This has got to be my favorite tool, I think, that I own, is the turning tool. It's so versatile. Use it for so many things. Then I'm going to go ahead and stuff these legs, just like I did with the arms. And you want mainly the stuffing in the paws. When you have both legs stuffed, as I do, you're going to take your little label, your leg label, and clip it and move on to the next step. The next thing that we're going to be stitching is the body, which I'm going to go in here, go into my pocket, go into my USB stick, scroll down. Now, it's this right here, I believe, is what I'm stitching now. So I'm going to select the body, set, put it in embroidery, and then I'm going to go hoop my stabilizer. And here we are, all ready to go. Slide it in the machine, and you guys know the drill. We're going to be stitching the placement stitch. Alright, so I'm going to slide my minky right side up, and I am going to tape it in place. First, I'm going to get my water-soluble stabilizer. So for this, you're going to need water-soluble stabilizer, and not the no-show mesh kind, this kind. This is what you want for this. You want to cut a nice generous piece. And you want it to cover the entire piece of Minky. I probably cut a little too generously on that, and then I'm just going to tape it in place. All right. And then I'm going to go ahead and stitch the tack down. This is a pretty quick stitch out. I'm going to go ahead and change my thread, because the next thing that we're going to stitch is the heart. Alright, so I'm going to stitch the heart placement line now. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is cut away the stabilizer from inside of the heart. So to do that, I'm going to pull this toward me. And I'm using my curved tip Kai's. You can't tell that I really like Kai scissors, can you? I'm kind of a scissor junkie. Oops. And once you get it started, you can really just pull the water-soluble stabilizer away. That done, I'm going to slide it back in my machine. I'm going to grab my heart fabric, and I'm going to place my heart fabric right side up, right over the heart, and I'm going to go ahead and stitch the tack down line. And I probably should have taped this, but I'm living on the edge here today. Going to take this out of my machine, and I'm going to trim around the heart. See if I can have you see what I'm doing. I want to trim close to the stitches without cutting the stitches. All right, slide it back in my machine. All right, and then I'm going to go ahead and stitch my decorative stitches. Alrighty, I'm going to remove this from my hoop and tear away the excess water-soluble stabilizer. See, it just really just pulls away. Perfect. Okay, now I'm going to change my thread again. Slide my hoop back in my machine. Change the thread back to white. And always remember to cut your thread up top and then pull your thread through the needle, because you want to keep things going the appropriate way in the tensions. And I know if you've taken any classes from me or purchased a machine from us, I know I always tell people that. You probably get sick of hearing me say that, but you know, it's always better to keep things going the right way. Not that being said, if your thread breaks and you can't get to it, every now and then if you have to pull back, it's not going to be life-threatening or anything. So, okay. Then I'm going to take my next piece of Minky, and I'm going to lay it right side down over here. Get my handy dandy tape again. Tape it. Tape it up here. Put my white thread in, then I'm going to go ahead and stitch the final outline. It's going to leave openings for the the head opening and the leg and arm openings. And it's done. I'm going to go ahead and delete this off my screen. And I'm going to pull up the last part, which is the muzzle. Cute little muzzle guy right here. Muzzle. There we are. Set, put it in embroidery. All right, again, I'm going to trim about a 1/2 inch away from my seams right around here. And I'm going to go and rehoop another piece of stabilizer. So I've got it all trimmed. Again, I'm going to use my tube turner here. Whoops, maybe. I got to find a part where it's closed. I just went through the leg opening. Zip. And there it is. Use my turning tool here to just poke everything out. Isn't that cute? Alrighty. And then of course I'm going to label it. Body. This one's pretty self-evident because it's some of the heart on it, but yeah, I have the labels. I might just as well label it. Now we're going to stitch the muzzle. I'm going to go ahead and load my hoop into the machine. Stitch my placement line. Now I just read in the directions, fancy that, reading the directions. I'm going to go ahead and set this right side up. I just read in the directions the reason for the water-soluble stabilizer on the Minky is to keep it from getting caught on the presser foot. So I guess I am going to use a larger piece on here because I certainly don't want that to happen. Just tape it in place. There we go. Alrighty. I'm going to stitch the muzzle tack down stitch, leaving the white thread on. I'm going to change my thread to black. So I'm going to stitch the mouth. Again, pulling my thread out from the needle. Alrighty, then here we go. Going to go ahead and stitch the placement line for the nose. And I'm again going to trim out the water-soluble stabilizer from within the nose area, like I did with the heart. Get a hold of it, I'll just pull it off. All right, and then I'm going to put that back on the machine. I'm going to put my nose fabric right side up on top of there. And I'm going to stitch the tack down line. All right, I'm going to remove this from the machine. I'm not going to trim right now. I'm going to fold this down so I can see my little opening there, and I'm going to stuff some polyfill in there. Just a little bit of polyfill. And then I'm going to take another piece of tape, and I am going to, actually I'll take this piece of tape off here. I'm going to fold that fabric back up after I've stuffed the nose, and I'm going to tape it down, put the hoop back in the machine, and I'm going to go ahead and stitch the final tack down of the nose. All right, here we go. Alrighty, I'm going to remove it from the hoop, remove it from the machine, then remove it from the hoop, and I'm going to trim 1/4 of an inch all the way around, trim 1/4 of an inch all the way around the muzzle, but I am not going to remove the water-soluble stabilizer yet. That comes in a different step. Then I'm going to go over and hoop the rest of my fabric, or my stabilizer. Bring up the last part of the design, which is the head and the ears. Right here. Cute little guy. Set it, put it in embroidery, and I'll be back with the stabilizer. Oh. Okay, I'm back with my stabilizer hooped. I'm going to slide my hoop into the machine. See what color thread I need to have. I need to have my white thread on. So let me grab a pair of scissors. I'm going to change the thread to white. I happen to be sewing this on the Solaris, or stitching this on the Solaris, but these designs come in all different formats, so you're totally welcome to use your, creative icon, or your creative vision, your creative sensation, whatever. You have to have at least a 5x7 hoop, so if you have a machine that doesn't have a hoop that big, you're not going to be able to do this design, but I know where you can get a machine that takes at least a 5x7 hoop. So we're stitching the placement. Oh dear, I forgot to thread the needle. How many times have I done that? All right, stitching the placement right now. All right, our placement stitch has been stitched. I'm going to put my minky on, completely covering the placement lines. Slide this out because I can't see it. I'm also going to put the water-soluble stabilizer on again, using my tape to tape that in place. Here we go. And I'm going to go ahead and stitch. So I'm going to leave the thread color the same. Okay, so now I'm going to change my thread again because the next thing that's going to stitch are the eyes. Go ahead and pull my black thread, pull my white thread out. Let's remember to actually thread the needle this time. All right, I'm going to go ahead and stitch. Yeah. All right, Time to change my thread back again to the white. Now I'm going to stitch the placement line for the muzzle. Okay, now what I need to do is remove the water-soluble stabilizer from inside the nose and the muzzle. Let me get my scissors. Pull that away. All right, now, so I've got it all pulled away from there. Now I need to go and get my muzzle, the previously stitched muzzle, which I have labeled muzzle right here. And I'm going to place this right sides up, completely covering. I'm going to line up the nose with the nose, completely covering the muzzle area. The muzzle that you stitched before is a little bit larger, and we're going to have to tape this into place because we definitely don't want this slipping anywhere. Let me get my tape out, rip off a couple pieces for myself. I'm just going to give this another double check to make sure that my nose is lined up. Okay, so once you get this lined up, the muzzle lined up over the placement stitch, then you go ahead and slide this back into the machine. Wake up, alrighty. And we're going to go ahead and stitch. Alright, next thing I'm going to do is I am going to stuff the muzzle. I now have the muzzle stuffed. I'm going to take my tape and I'm going to tape the opening closed. And I'm going to put my hoop back in the machine and stitch the final tack down for the muzzle. Now I'm going to remove it from the machine and trim around the muzzle before I stitch my final, trim all the way around here before I stitch my final decorative stitch. There, it's all trimmed, nice and close. Slip the hoop back into the machine, put my foot down, and off it goes, stitching the final decorative stitch. Okay, now it's time to remove all the water-soluble topping. Okay, I've removed all the water-soluble topping. I'm going to put this back in my machine. Before I do that, I'm going to lay my last piece of Minky over right side down, over the face, tape it into place. Tape it into place, top and bottom. Slide it back into the machine. Go ahead, put my foot down and tell it to go. Okay, we're now finished embroidering. So I'm going to remove the project from the hoop and I'm going to carefully trim around the head and the ears, leaving about a ½ inch. And then the rest of this video is going to be about sewing. Hi everybody, I'm back. I have taken the liberty of attaching my arms and my legs to the body of my little Kimberbear here. And here's my head. I've attached the ears with pins. These magic pins, remember I told you, some of you I like so much. They have the silicone heads on them. They come in this cute little thing, and you can iron right over them. So what I'm going to do is just going to go ahead and on my performance icon, yes, I am spoiled. I have a creative icon, performance icon, got Solaris over there. I'm very spoiled. So I'm going to take a moment and switch my straight stitch plate off of here, because I'm going to sew this together with a zigzag stitch. So I'm going to change my foot to my 0 foot. And I'm going to change my straight stitch plate. Just pops right off. The performance icon comes with both the straight stitch plate and the zigzag plate. Just snap that on there like that. Put away my 1/4 inch foot, grab my 0A foot, which is right here. Slide this back on. Put my foot on, and I'm going to make sure that my IDT is engaged. I'm going to thread my needle. And I'm going to go, I don't know if you can see my screen or not. I'm just going to pick a zigzag stitch, which is stitch number 5. I'm going to load it. And it looks pretty good. So I'm just going to, using a zigzag stitch, I hope you can see. Oh, might want to put that back on. And I've got white thread on top and in the bottom. Just going to scoot it under my foot. And I'm going to remove my pin. I'm going to drop my foot down. Remove my pin, because you do not want to sew over pins. You can iron over these pins. You cannot sew over them. And I'm just going to do a zigzag stitch on here. Now, these stitches are not, they're going to go right away. They'll sink right down into the cuddle, so you don't have to worry about that. And I think I'm just going to reverse over it. Just make sure I get it. And then I'm going to tie it off. And put my pin away so it doesn't fall on the floor. All right. So I don't know if you can see it or not. Oops, right here. But that'll just, the cuddle will just end up covering up that stitch. I'm going to do the same thing for the other arm. I'm going to slide it under my foot. Put the foot down, slip my pin out. Put it away. And then I'm just going to stitch. Yeah, I think that's fine. 1 row of stitches is fine. Then I'm going to repeat for the legs. The great thing about the FOFs, the icons, is that it has a double height. So if you push the presser foot lifter once, it goes up once to 1 level. If you push it again, it drops the feed dogs and goes up a little bit higher, which is wonderful when you're trying to get something that's relatively thick under there. Take my scissors and just trim my threads here. And then I'm going to go stuff it and sew the head on. So off I go to get my polyfill and stuff it in here. I'm going to stuff right into the body, right here. And then I'll be back to... Hey everybody, I forgot to sew the ears on my little guy's head, so I'm going to do that right now really quick. So again with the zigzag stitch. This is the cutest little thing I've ever seen, and much easier to do than I thought it was. Alrighty, now off to stuff the head. Hi everybody. I had a little technical difficulty. I sewed part of it together on the machine, and I believe I'm going to try and re-sew over the back. You want to sew them closed. Or what I could do, what the directions say, is to just put a little bit more stuffing in here and then close it up with a hand stitch. Actually, I think I probably will do that. I'll put a little bit more stuffing in this little hole right here, and then I'll hand stitch it together. So easy peasy, very easy, fun, cute as can be. My little mascot. I might call him, you know, Rona, maybe. I don't know. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you guys need anything, call us, email us. Stay healthy. Thanks. Bye.